Hi friends, welcome back. Hope you are following the situations. We are really discussing about the problems that are faced by Indian farmers, the Indian economy and the Indian government in order to uplift the farmers. What can the government do more? That is what we have been discussing in the last class, and we shall continue with that same discussion again. You can take page number 45, the second part. So yesterday we had completed started that discussion about food security, and we shall continue with that same topic, food security. So the focus of increasing food grain production, which should be on sustainable basis, and also free trade in grains will create massive employment and reduce poverty in rural areas. So what we need to do in order to reduce the poverty and unemployment, especially in the rural area, we have to focus on increasing food grain production. So it is not enough that 50% of the population is working in the agriculture sector, but they have to increase the production of food grains. And also it should be on a sustainable basis, not just one year produce plenty, next year nothing. Not that way. It should be sustainable, it should be steady progress should be there. And there has been a gradual shift from cultivation of food crops to cultivation of fruits. So when we notice among the farmers, we realize that there has been a shift is there, a gradual, slowly people are stopping to cultivate food grain and they start cultivating fruits instead of food grain, and vegetables, oil seeds and industrial crops. So now people are not much interested in cultivation of food grains. They start cultivating different things. Some are cultivating fruits, some are cultivating vegetables, some are cultivating oil seeds and industrial crops. Earlier we said in order to get that minimum support price from the government, most of the farmers were cultivating only wheat and rice. Now that is changed again. People are cultivating fruits and vegetables, and this has led to the reduction in net sown area under cereals and pulses. So now the area that is used for cultivating cereals and pulses has become very less, and more area is given to fruits and vegetables. With the growing population of India, the declining food production puts a big question mark over the country's future food security. So when more people are reducing to cultivate or refusing to cultivate wheat and grain, what will happen? The population is keep on growing, and how can the government ensure food security? Is it easy? It becomes a big task for the government to find out food for the growing population. The competition for land between non-agriculture uses such as housing, etc., and agriculture has resulted in reduction in the net sown area. So now people are using agricultural area for making house, buildings, industry and so on. So that also creating a problem. The land is used for some other purpose. The paddy fields are put mud and level and house is built there, or some other buildings are made there, and therefore the people are losing the land for cultivation, and the productivity of land has started showing a declining trend, and the land also is started producing less and less fruits or grains because the fertility of the soil is lost. The fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides, which once showed dramatic results, are now being held responsible for degrading the soil. So when we had the green revolution, the government advised the people to use fertilizers, pesticides and so on, and that increased the production suddenly. It was very low, suddenly it was increased. Now people continue to use fertilizers and pesticides, and we have come to realize that the land has become less fertile because of using too much fertilizers. The land is getting spoiled, and periodic scarcity of water has led to reduction in area under irrigation. So the water facility or the irrigation facility is not available always. Sometimes it is all dry, water sources are dry, therefore there is no water supply, and so the area under irrigation is suffering. They cannot cultivate there because no water supply. That is another problem the farmers are facing. Then identifying water management has led to water logging and salinity. So people started inefficient water management system. They are using improper means of using water, and some places people use plenty of water when there is water available, and that way soil becomes salty and it is getting degraded. So government has to provide some kind of information to the people to help them, to guide them, to direct them, and so on. Then only they can really come up in production of things, production of food grains, and so on. You can see there is a table 4.2 given there. It is speaking about the different things that are produced in different years. You can go through the table and see. For example, rice was produced in 2006 93.4 million tons. Then in the 2007 it was increased to 96.7 millions. Then in 2008 it was increased to 96.2 millions. Then 2009 it was reduced. So long it was going higher and higher, then suddenly it is reduced to 89. Maybe some problem was there, some flood or drought or something could be there. Then 2010 it was increased again, it became 95. So slowly it started coming up again. Then see the production of wheat. It was 75, then 78.6, then 80.7, then 80.8, then 85.9. So in the wheat it is steady increase is there. And see the coarse grains and the jowar, that is the pulses, the millets, and so on. So in the 2006-7 it was 18 million tons. Then next year it was 17.4. Then again it was 16.3, 16.6, 16.5. So we see the coarse grains, bajra and barwa, jowar, all that is production is coming down, it is not increasing. And see the pulses production, that is also not much. So in the 2006 it was 14.2, then next year it was 14.8, the next year it was 14.6, then next year it was 14.7, then 2010 it was 18.1. So there is a little bit of improvement is there, but not much. And the total production we can see, the year 2006 it was 201.4, then next year it was 207.5 million tons, then it was 210.8 million tons, then year 2009-10 was always showing less production in everything except wheat. All the other things it was less, so it came down to 201.2. Then following year it was increased again, 215.8 million tons. So we can see the Directorate of Economics and Statistics has published this data, how the food grain production was carried on during those years from 2006 to 2010. How was the production, how in which area or which grain there was more production, which grain there was less production, and so there is a data that is given there. So you can go through it again and see how our country is progressing in the agricultural production. Then take the next page. One important reason is land degradation. So one of the main problem that farmers facing is land degradation. We said because of waterlogging, salinity is there, and so on. It is causing problem. Also using of fertilizers and pesticides, all that is causing the quality of the soil. Then free power to a section of farmers has encouraged them to pump groundwater to grow water-intensive crops in low rainfall areas. For example, rice in Punjab, sugarcane in Maharashtra, and so on. So government has given free power to farmer. Power means electricity. Free electricity to farmers, and therefore they dig very big well, and from there they pump up water. So especially in the areas where there is low water level, the ground water level is very low, and there they dig very deep well and pump out water because they don't need to pay money to the government. It is free electricity. Therefore they use maximum, and what happens? The area becomes more dry because the more water we pump out, the water level will go down and down, and the land become more and more dry. So with the help of this water, they try to cultivate things that are not possible there. So with the availability of water, they can cultivate. So Punjab is suitable for wheat, but in order to get more support price from the government, they try to cultivate rice there instead of wheat and pump water, and that is affecting. Then farmers in Maharashtra, they are supposed to cultivate something else. Instead, they try to cultivate sugarcane with the support of pumping water and so on. So this also is affecting the soil. Then this unsustainable pumping has reduced water storage in aquifers. So when people are going on pumping out water from under the earth, it has reduced the storage of water, underground water, or the ground level water is going down and down. So these farmers have no much idea, no much knowledge, no scientific ideas and knowledge that if you, it is not good for going on taking out underground water, it is not good for the soil, it is not good for the farm. They have no idea, they are just looking for immediate benefit, and they go on pumping out water, and that is affecting every farmer in that area. Then consequently, many wells and dew wells have run dry. So because of those farmers, foolish farmers we can say, they are just looking for their own benefits, and therefore what happens? The people who are living nearby, those who have got well, those who have got dew well, that is all become dry because ground level water is going down and down because of these people are pumping out too much. So that was affected the other small farmers, people who are living nearby, and this has pushed the marginal and the small farmers out of cultivation. So other small farmers who are depending on their well or depending on their dew well to do the farming in their small garden, small field, now they have no chance. Their well is dry, no water at all. Therefore they have abandoned farming. They cannot do anything. So because of these greedy farmers, unscientifically managing their farm, other small farmers are affected very much. And the big farmers with deeper dew wells still have water, and but many others faces water crisis. So these rich farmers, they are getting subsidy from the government or free electricity from the government. Therefore they make their well deeper and deeper till they get water, and they go on deepening their well, and they always have plenty of water. But others, small farmers, their wells are not very deep, therefore their well will become very dry fast, and they will face water crisis. And inadequate storage and marketing facilities also act as a disincentive to the farmer. Another thing that the farmers face is they have no storage facility. Suppose they produce plenty of grain, they work hard and produce plenty of grain, plenty of vegetables, there's no place for them to keep storing. After a few days it will get spoiled, it will get rotten. There is no proper storage facility. So there should be nice storage facility where the vegetables, potatoes, groundnuts and other oil seeds, all these can be secured nicely or saved nicely for many days, even for many weeks. There should be nice facility like AC room where the things will not get spoiled, it will remain there. So proper storage godown should be made by the government and to help the farmers. That will be an incentive, that will be an attraction for the farmers to work hard. They know they can store their grain, it will not get spoiled. Then Thus, the farmers are badly affected by the uncertainties of production and market. They suffer from the double disadvantage as they pay high prices for inputs such as HYV seeds, fertilizers, etc., but lack of bargaining power to fix prices in their favor. So, some places or sometimes the farmers have to buy the seeds, they are not getting subsidy from the government, fertilizers, the seeds, all that they have to buy with a high price. And after the production of the food grains, there is no bargaining power. They go to the market for selling it, and the shopkeeper will say, "This is the price. We want you sell." So when they calculate the total expense of production, the expense is higher than the price that they are getting from by selling the things. So there is no proper marketing agency, marketing mechanism is there in order to help the farmers. So that way the farmers are affected. That is another problem that the farmers are facing. So the government will have to do something to set up the proper marketing agent, fix the minimum price and so on. And also if the storage is there means farmers no need to go and sell it immediately. If the price is very low, they can store in the godown. When the price becomes high, they can take it out and sell. So all these facilities should be provided to the farmers. Then the farmers will be interested in cultivation and they will be able to produce more and more, so that the country, the economy of the country will be growing. So all the production reaches the market simultaneously. The higher the supply, the lower the demand. So what happens? Almost the harvesting is taking place at the same time. All the farmers will be harvesting at the same time, and they will be taking their grain to the market for selling, and the market will be full of the same products. Those who are cultivating rice, those who are cultivating wheat, everybody bring together to the market, and market will be plenty of food grains. And when there is plenty of things, the price will be low. So the farmers will be suffering. So greater the supply. If supply is more food is supplied in the market for selling, then the demand is low. If there is no demand, what to do? Nobody wants to buy. So plenty of things are available there in the market. Therefore, the price will be low. Nobody will be willing to buy. At last, farmers will reduce the price very low. Then somebody will come and buy. So farmers will be the loser, and that will make them disappointed and discouraged. They may not be interested again to do the cultivation and so on. So government will have to do something. Therefore, there can be no food security without the security of the small farmers. So if our country wants to achieve food security, what the government has to do? Government has to provide security to the farmers. Government has to give assurance to the farmers. Don't worry, we will protect you. We will help you. We will help you to get good price for your product. If that assurance is provided to the farmers, then we can be sure all the farmers in our country will be really motivated, and they will be working harder in order to produce more food grains, and our country will be able to achieve that food security. Otherwise, more and more small farmers are abandoning their farming and they go and cultivate something else, and our country will never be able to achieve food security. So it is in the hands of the government what they have to do, how they have to do. They have to plan out in order to support even the small farmers. Government cannot say it is enough, big farmers cultivate, small fellows you go. Not that way. So even the small farmers should be encouraged to cultivate, and every district, every village can be self-sufficient in food security. Then the whole country will achieve food security, and nobody will be starving in our country. Everybody will have the proper food, sufficient food to eat, and they will be having a nutritious food, and they will be having good health. So that is how we can do in order to achieve this food security in our country. So let us see whether our government will be able to do something or not, or whether they go on waiting and watching, and at the end it will be too late to act. So it is, the ball is in the court of the government to do the work, to continue or to carry out the work, and government has to speed up in order to improve the cultivation. cultivation, the production, and so on. So now let us see about impact of globalization on agriculture. We said there is globalization is going on now. That means, what is the meaning of globalization? The world has become a small unit, like a small village. Everything that happens today here, it is happening in outside also. Or people are able to know what is happening in one corner, in another corner. Or what is affecting in one corner, it is affecting another corner as well. So there is a lot of globalization, effects of globalization is there. Effects of globalization. So globalization is not a new phenomenon. It was there at the time of colonialization. So when India was under the colony of British, when India was a colony of British, that globalization was there. So whatever was in India, it was taken to Britain. What was there in Britain, it was brought to India. So that communication, that exchange, everything was there in olden time onwards. And in the 19th century, when European traders came to India, at that time too, Indian spices were exported to different countries of the world, and farmers of South India were encouraged to grow these crops. So, we know the 19th century or even in the 18th century, the foreign traders came to India because they realized in India there are a lot of spices are there, pepper, other things, elachi, all those things. So they came to India to buy from here and take it to their country. So they were exporting it. So that was there even in olden times. And so the farmers were encouraged. When they saw these foreigners are coming and buying these things, there is a good demand, we are getting good price, so they were encouraged. They were planting more and more these spices. And till today, it is one of the important items of export from India. So even today, that spice, India is known. India is famous for spices, and more things are exported from India. And during the British period, cotton belts of India attracted the British, and ultimately cotton was exported to Britain as a raw material for their textile industries. So when British came to India, they were also attracted by this cotton belt of India. Certain areas of India is very good for growing of cotton, especially where there is black soil. The cotton was growing very well. The British was very much interested. They realized we have a textile industry in Britain and we don't have enough cotton to make textile clothes. So they realized let it grow naturally in India and we will carry it from here to Britain and we will make clothes there. We have mills are there, cloth mills are there, factories are there. We will make nice clothes there using the cotton that is growing in India. And cotton textile industry in Manchester and Liverpool flourished due to the availability of good quality cotton from India. So Britain had plenty of cotton mills and especially industry in Manchester and Liverpool. So two places in Britain, England, Liverpool and Manchester. So they had plenty of cotton mills and cotton industries, and they were able to do very well, produce plenty of clothes. They were flourishing because they were getting plenty of raw materials from India. So without the help of this raw materials, they cannot improve their industry. So the cotton that was coming from India, that was of very good quality, high quality. Therefore, their industry was able to grow very well, grow very fast, and so they were really enjoying with the cotton that is growing in India. And you have read about the Champaran movement which started in 1917 in Bihar. This was started because farmers of that region were forced to grow indigo on their land because it was necessary for the textile industries which were located in Britain, and they were unable to grow food grains to sustain their own family. So when British was realizing that India is a very good source of raw material to help them to improve their textile industries. They were forcing the farmers to grow cotton, and some other area they were forcing the farmers to grow indigo. What is indigo? It's a type of plant to take out color. Eh, different colors are there. So textile industry they need color. Cloth needs different colors, and therefore they told the farmers, you no need to cultivate food grains and so on. You produce this indigo, and we will buy from you. So that was the. But farmers were not happy. They wanted to plant rice and wheat because that is what they can eat. They cannot eat the indigo. But the British, they use their power, they use their force to force these farmers to cultivate indigo, because their intention was only to make profit for them, to cultivate and improve their economy in England. That was their intention. So for that, the poor farmers were made to suffer in India. Their chance of cultivating food grain was taken away, and they were really struggling. So they reacted, and there was a movement called Champaran movement. The farmers were protesting against the British for forcing them to cultivate this indigo. They were unwilling to do it, and so they were protesting it. So we have a little more is left there. We'll continue in the next class. For today we shall wind it up, and next day we will see again what is the impact of globalization on Indian agriculture. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.